Welcome back to another episode of Wreck Nation. In this episode, work continues on the track sled. Okay, so in here is the motor. This is the exhaust. We'll show you what that looks like here. There's the muffler. And there's the actual exhaust pipe. So we go to mount this. This will mount under the motor. We'll have to keep in consideration that depth right there so we can get room to mount that on. Now let's take a look at what the motor looks like. So we can lift this out of here. All right. There you go. This here is Zongshen 125 single cylinder 4-stroke engine. This is similar to what you would get like in a China made ATV. It has the automatic clutch in here, so you just hit the gas and it goes, and then it's got a transmission built in. It's got 3 speeds forward and 1 reverse. So we'll start mocking this up. What we'll do is build a cradle similar to what we did for the steering here. We'll get some arms coming across to hold this up. The other part we got to figure out is the drivetrain. So the current plan for the drivetrain is it already has a sprocket here. We got some bearing blocks that we'll mount down below. We'll run a jack shaft through, so it'll be a chain from this sprocket on the transmission down to this bearing with a shaft coming out, a sprocket here that'll run ahead and drive in that chain case there. So the other thing we got to take in consideration is the space between the 2 sprockets and leave enough room to have a chain there. Okay, looks like to get enough space for that chain and sprocket to work, we'll have to give it about probably about 2 inches off the deck. That should work. There's our measurement. Next up, we'll make the 2 straps that go across just like this. Okay, so we wanted it 4.5 up. All right, so we're gonna make the cradle for the engine. So we want this 4 inches long, so it's 2 inches below the deck, 2 inches above the deck. I'll give it a 2 inches above the deck there. So we'll mark this at 4, and we're going to bend it at a 45. So we want our 45 to start there. This is what we're removing. Okay, so when that bends around, it'll be down here. Then from there, we need to go 18.5 to allow for the width of the deck. About there. And the same thing, we want the 45 here and bend around. All right, and from that bend, it'll be here. We want to go down 4 inches. And again, it'll 45, I know that'll be flat. And that'll be cut off flat. We're actually gonna 45 it the other way, but We'll save that until the end though. All right. So we have our cuts marked. We'll go ahead and start cutting here. And we're going to try to stay inside the lines. It'll make it a nice clean joint when it comes back together. Now we can bend these back in. All right, using our squares, we can make sure that's square. Tap a little on this side. Not too bad, not too shabby. Still square. All right, now we can fire up the welder and weld those into place. There it is, all ready to go. We'll put these both onto the tunnel and we'll build, I got some channel iron to go across to bolt the motor to. So we have our two mounts made. Next step we're going to do is on the bottom side there's 4 bolt holes. So we have a sheet of paper, we're going to make a template so you know where to put the channel iron and where to drill the holes to mount the motor. So we're going to very carefully tip this motor up. You can see here are the 4 mounting holes. So we'll put a piece of paper over that. And now we have a template of what the mounts on the bottom look like. I have some 1-inch channel iron. We'll take the channel iron, cut the pieces to fit, drill the holes, weld in between our 2 mounts, and then we'll be all set to mount the motor. Okay, so we have the motor brackets made. The first one's already tacked into place here. You can see that there. Now we're going to figure out where the front placement's got to be. So we'll take a look at that. Okay, so working up close here, you can see this isn't the exact placement where this bearing will be. There'll be a shaft. We got the gear on this side. There'll be a chain that runs from the transmission on the motor down to this to turn this. This shaft will stick out. And there'll be another sprocket on this side that'll run ahead. So we gotta make sure that where this bearing block sits, it's not too close that the chain will hit, or it's not too far away that it'll rub on the inside of the case of the motor here. And the other thing we like to take into consideration is on the bottom side of the motor, there's a drain plug for the oil, and we want to make sure that we don't cover that up wherever this mount goes. When we took the piece of paper and we made a template at the bottom, is about 5 inches. We're going to verify that right now and make sure everything still fits and lines up. So the motor itself will actually sit up in here like so. When I look at 5 inches, it's right in there. If I tip the motor down this way, we'll see it'll miss. So there's the oil drain plug under here, and you'll see that it'll run just inside of that at 5 inches. So we should be good. To go ahead, get this tacked into place at 5 inches, and then we can get the 2 pieces of channel that we made for with the holes and weld those across here. And like I said, I'll probably run a piece across kind of where this one's sitting underneath this mount with 2 legs going down, just to give it more support on the front, because the motor does stick ahead quite a bit. Okay, so we have our motor mount completed here. You can see the holes drilled. I kind of oblong these just to give us a little bit of adjustment there so it fit correctly. It is supported here on the steering. I'll show you how that motor is going to sit on there. Just like this. And that's how the motor will fit. But I did run into one small design error. I'm going to bring you around this side so you can see what I'm talking about over here. But this is what I was kind of afraid of when I was designing this here. The chain, you can see it'll actually rub on this square tube. And then on the other side, if we can get down in there, you can see there's a little bit of a lip here on the crankcase. So what I'm going to have to do is actually move this bearing block back, and I can't do that with this bar being here. So I end up having to cut this off, take this piece out right here, so it gives us room for the chain to rotate without dragging on that square block. Okay, so we got all the bolts in here. You can see it's supporting the tunnel. You got the suspension bolted back on underneath. And now we can mount the motor up, and we'll make the top 2 motor mounts. Okay, the motor's mounted. You can see it's pretty sturdy on there. What we'll end up doing now is we're going to make a mount that goes across from this hole back to the steering bracket, and then we can use that to mount our gas tank up here. Okay, to make that top motor mount, we're going to use this flat stock here. It is 1/4 inch by 1 inch flat stock. So we'll mark it at 1 foot. This actually happens to be a 2-foot piece, which is perfect. So we can cut that end off. All right, then next we want to round this end that's going to go up by the motor. We'll clean up that little bit there. Now we're going to drill a hole in each end so we can get it mounted to the motor. Okay, one's made here. You can see mounting holes on both sides. We'll make another one and bolt it on. Okay, so there you go. We got the top mounts in. You can see I had to notch a little bit here to get it around the crankcase on both sides. She's bolted in. The motor is mounted. Motor mounts are done, and it is sturdy. So I got no problems with that on there. Hopefully you like this episode of Wreck Nation. We're making some good progress on the project here. Next episode, what we'll end up doing is we'll work on getting this thing started. So we'll get the carburetor mounted on. We'll use the top mount here for a gas tank mount, get the gas tank mounted, get the engine all wired up, and then we'll work on the drive line and see if we can get her started. Well, thanks for watching. If you like what you see, like and subscribe to the channel. We'll keep going on this project. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.